Hey everyone, welcome back to OC Outdoorsman. Well, I'm here on the day after Thanksgiving at Irvine Lake. I'm going to have to do a bit of voiceover here because at this point the CNN winds were really blowing in. It became really difficult to hear me speaking over all of that wind. But temperature this morning was right around 59 degrees, and as you can see here, I brought my fly reel with me with the intention of testing it out again, but the winds were so bad, I didn't even bother casting out any fly lines. Really, the focus of the morning was to catch carp. It didn't take long. Right around 8 a.m., I hooked into this really large carp. Now, it took me a while to bring him in, so I had to edit the footage. I sped it up and actually had to cut out some of this because this guy kept pulling away. And I learned from my mistakes the last time I was out here to not tighten down the drag too much. So I let him run until he got tired. And you can see I'm bringing him onto the shoreline. Now, I didn't bring a net because of the long hike from the parking lot to this spot. Instead, I brought a decent pair of fish grippers, which did the job well. You can see I have them here. And the cool thing about these fish grippers is that they have a built-in scale. 14 pounds. This was definitely the largest carp I've ever caught. I think the next largest prior to this one was right around 12 pounds. So I got lucky. My first fish of the day was my largest. And man, these fish can fight. When they get this big, yeah, you don't want to horse them in. He kept pulling away like I mentioned earlier. And I had to wait patiently for him to get tired before I was able to get him close enough to the shoreline for me to use my fish grips. Let's take one last look at this beautiful fish before I let him go. So here's my next cast. Note that I am using a 3-ounce egg sinker on this GX2 9-foot rod, so it's great. I'm able to cast out further than before. Again, I had to speed up the footage because I was being very careful today. I wasn't horsing these fish in. I let them take their time and tire out before I brought them to shore and grabbed them with this fish gripper. So this guy weighed in right at 5 pounds, so not nearly as big as my first fish, but still a decent one, and boy, they can fight. I just love the fight of these carp. Once again, time to let this guy go. Man, winds are now about 20-25 miles an hour, and it's just getting stronger. So yeah, I'll probably fish here for another hour or so and probably wrap things up. I think I'd rather have rain than these high winds. Whew. By now, well over an hour had passed since I caught that second fish. And the winds weren't calming down, but I figured, you know what? Why not fly my drone around the lake? Give you guys a better perspective. So that's what I'm about to do here. right here, a group of anglers approached me. They really wanted to see this fish. As I mentioned earlier, it was really slow around the lake, so when there was any action, people came running just to take a look at the fish. Alright, this guy weighed just over 6 pounds. So I'm gonna go release him. It turns out I hooked into that fish as I was flying my drone. I saw my rod dipping like this, and man, I had to run to reel that fish in. Now the great thing was I was using that bait runner, the Daiwa M-Cast, and I'm not sure how long that fish was on the line, but he was swimming away. So by the time I got to it, he was way out towards the middle of the lake. So I must have hooked it into that fish while I was still flying my drone around the lake. Now the great thing is with that M-Cast, the bait runners feature, it was able to continue running without yanking on the pole or breaking the line. So that is the big advantage of using bait runner reels for carp fishing. So it worked like a charm. Well, that was it for today. Be sure to subscribe, that way you won't miss any of my video uploads, and do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up. Thanks again.